Okay.
Recording?
Yep.
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to WebCon 2020, and I'm thrilled to open up the show, the winter sessions we call it. My name is Preston Plord. You can call me SSG_Preston or anything around. What does it say? I want to know how to play a game Q ... I can't read the whole thing.
On modern flat screen TVs.
Well, I don't have a GameCube on me, but you've still come to the right place. As I was saying before, I can't say rudely interrupted because I'm happy to see someone ask a question already. So my name is Preston Plord, or SSG Preston, whatever you want to call me. I am a Silver Soul Gaming affiliate and a member of the Rebel Gaming Club. And in this panel, it's basically going to be a continuation of the very first WebCon panel that I did, in which I show you how to make older video game systems work on modern monitors. And if you remember the last time I did such a thing, I demonstrated the Atari 2600 hooked up to a VCR, and the VCR was hooked up to this thing, the RetroTink 2X Pro. Now, in this one, why I say it's a continuation is because we're also going to be talking about different. Someone with size says Atari. Did you mean to say Pong? You forgot the end there, buddy. As I was saying, the PogChamp. All right. Maybe I need to not get so distracted by the messages. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about other video formats that we did not really get to in the previous panel. And I'm going to show you different devices for using those. And VCRs will not be involved this time around. So, as you see here, this is my RetroTink 2X Pro. This is what I'm currently using for upscaling my non-SCART devices. I'll get to SCART in a little bit. I used to use this, the open source scan converter for the formats Component, VGA, and SCART, or SHART. I'm not really sure entirely how to pronounce it. But at the moment, this thing's a bit on the fritz, and I can't find a place to repair it. So I'm going to have to either buy a new one or just stick with some other devices that I'll talk about. So the RetroTink 2X Pro, aside from doing composite, like I demonstrated with the VCR and the Atari, also does S-Video, which is this little port right here, and stereo audio, which is the white and red plugs sockets right here. And S-Video is a step above composite. And then it also does, this device also does Component, which is a step, it's like on the same lines as SCART in terms of resolution. And Component uses all 5 of these plugs right here. These 3 for the video and these 2 for the stereo audio. Now, for SCART, like I mentioned, I used to use the OSSC for that, but as of right now, I've had to replace it with the RetroTink 2X SCART, which simply does RGB in and HDMI out. And the power for both these devices is powered by a little mini USB to AC adapter, which you can find on like Amazon and eBay or like your local electronics store for about like $5 to $10. It's really not that expensive. Now, you're probably wondering what formats or what systems do each of these formats work best on? Well, for composite, along with the Atari, I would recommend using the NES with that. However, the NES does do composite video natively, but it doesn't do stereo audio natively. It only comes with a yellow and red plug. The red plug is for the audio. So just like the Atari, if you're going to plug that thing to a VCR and have it output stereo audio, it's not going to be true stereo audio. It's just going to be mono audio split into 2 signals, one for each of your speakers, or more if you have more than 2 speakers. What was that dinging sound?
Oh, sorry. Someone was joining the Zoom call. I can take care of letting people in.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know what the sound was. That's all. All right. Now what to next? So did I go over all the ones that do composite? Yeah. So then for S video, the recommended systems that I have next to me that I would use for S video are systems like the N64, which, as you can see right here, I was playing Diddy Kong Racing about a day ago or so. And I forgot to show, this is the NES right here. Because as you see right here, the plugs right here. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so the N64, unlike its predecessor, the SNES, or like its predecessor, the SNES. I thought actually, does SNES use SCART? Yeah, SNES uses SCART. So unlike its predecessor, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the N64 uses S-Video natively. Now, when I say natively, that means that it's the best audio video format you can use without hard modding your system. We're not going to get into hard modding like ever, at least not on my end, because I hate hard modding. It's too much time, too much money, and to me, it's disrespecting the art, if you get my meaning. So anyway, so yeah, so S-Video is a step above composite, and as I mentioned, uses a cable that goes into a port shaped like this, with, see all the pins in there? And then a step above S-Video is VGA, which the only console I would recommend for using VGA is this guy right here, the Sega Dreamcast. Although there is a way to, there are SCART cables available for the Dreamcast, but it's a lot easier to find VGA cables. They're about the same in terms of resolution. They can both do 480p. Actually, I believe the SCART can also do like 720 and 1080 like component, which we'll get into later, but I don't think the Dreamcast natively supports those resolutions. Just 480p is all you're going to get. And as you see here, these two devices do not, the RetroTinks, they don't have VGA ports. The OSSC, which is broken on my end, it is broken. Hang on a second. Let me take the camera vertical for just a second because we got a question in the chat. Let's see here. Have I played Phantasy Star Online on the Sega Dreamcast? There are fan-run servers that still support online play to this day. Hate to break it to you, but I have not played that, although I am not opposed to playing it. I might give it a shot one day. I just don't know when. But thank you for your question. I do appreciate it, even if I couldn't really give you the best of answers. So aside from the OSSC, if you want a VGA to HDMI converter for your Dreamcast, a website called the Behar Brothers, I think that's how you pronounce it, BEHAR bros.com. They have a whole bunch of products for your Dreamcast regarding taking like composite S-Video and VGA signals and converting them to HDMI. I ordered one. It's a VGA to HDMI upscaler for the Dreamcast. I don't remember its exact name, but it is from the Behar Brothers, and it has not arrived yet, so I can't really show it on screen, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll, if we have time, I'll show a picture of it. In case we do, I'll go to the Behar Brothers website. Let's see. Oops, sorry about the camera. Yeah, Behar Bros Retro Gaming Accessories. I'll set it up on store for later, and then if we have time, well, aside from the questions, of course, I'll show a picture of what I got. Let me just put the camera upright. Thank you. All right, the next one is SCART or SHART. Like I said, don't really know exactly how to pronounce it. I haven't looked it up or anything. But as I mentioned, both the Retro TX SCART and the open source scan converter, they have SCART inputs. See these little 21 pin things right here? All right. And consoles I would recommend in regards to using those are the Sega Master System, which I don't have, but I do have the Sega Genesis with the Sega Master System power base converter. You can use SCART on, as I mentioned, the Super Daytona Entertainment System. And I believe you will also find them on the Xbox, although I don't use SCART for original Xbox. That one I use Component. I'll get to Component in a little bit. And you can also, and one other console that I'll recommend using SCART for is the one that came after the Genesis, that being the Sega Saturn. As I mentioned, SCART is above S-Video. If you want to see like the ladder of, I guess you would call it, of AV formats in a lot more detail, go to retrorgb.com, and Bob from RetroRGB will give you a very thorough description of what each audio video format is like. I've met him at Retro World Expo, and he's just a thrilling guy to talk to in terms of like getting lessons on video formats and what devices to use. Yeah, I had a thrilling conversation with him about it. It was so much fun. Great guy, super nice. I really can't complain about him. And then Component, as I mentioned, uses all 5 of the red, yellow, green, and white plugs, or not red, yellow, excuse me. Component is green, blue, red, and white. 3 over here for video. And the audio one on the OSSC, you have to get one of those little converter adapter things to take a 3.5, like an auxiliary thing, and you convert it into stereo audio, RCA, red and white. It was a bit of a mouthful. I apologize for that. And with the RetroTank, you don't need an adapter like that because it has all 5 of those right off the bat. And then consoles I would recommend for Component are, if I can pull them up, there's really only 2 of them I can recommend in terms of what I use, that being the big brick right here, the original Xbox, and the original Wii. And as Summer said, you can play, or not said, but said something related to this. You can play GameCube games on the original model Wii, and if you've got component cables for your Wii, yes, they will work when you play GameCube games for backwards compatibility. So Summer, if that answers your question, I mean, hopefully it answers your question. I mean, if that does answer your question, yeah, just grab your Wii, grab some component cables from Amazon or eBay or something. Yes, we would like to play. When is it not fun to say that pun? I still remember those commercials from back in the day. And I got a question from somebody asking if we're not online. We are online, I believe. Can you guys check and see if it's still streaming to Facebook? Because I got a question saying if we're not online.
It is online.
Oh,
I can double check now.
All right. All right. And we got another question from Summer, or another comment, it looked like. Let's see. It said, oh, I missed another one. It's I love, his question was spell Behar again. It's Behar and then bros. And he also said, I love it when Japanese businessmen show up to my doorstep unannounced to sell me games. Since I had the Dreamcast, so I played Ikaruga. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but no, I have not. I actually don't own a lot of Dreamcast games at the moment, although like I am working on a Dreamcast collection. I've got So games like Sonic Shuffle. I've got Gauntlet Legends. I've got Shenmue. I've got South Park Chef's Love Shack, Razor Freestyle Scooter. What else have I got? I'm just looking at my shelf from over here. I can't see them all, but I've got a few Dreamcast games and hopefully more to come. All right, let me turn it this way. And since we do have time, about 12 minutes, let me look around on Behar for you. Let me turn the camera around. All right, so let's see. This is Behar Bros. Let me look it up. Where at the Akora? I think I got the Akora. Is it? Yeah, the Dreamcast Akora, the Akora DC HDMI box. That's the one I got. Takes a VGA signal. Yep. Takes a VGA signal, converts it to HDMI with no lag whatsoever. And it's only $75. It's on sale. It used to be 85, now it's 75, which isn't terrible. I mean, it's cheaper than like the ultimate or collector's editions of games these days. And we got another question in the chat. Oh, Muriel, Dr. Mom to everyone, BeharBros.com. Thank you, Muriel. You beat me to the punch on that one. All right. So we got about 10 minutes left. Anybody got any questions for me? You don't have to say them out loud if you don't want. You can type them in the chat, or you can question, you can comment, anything. Oops, there goes my phone again. Yes, what Crystal said. TI-80 adaptations. Not sure what you mean by that. TI. Yeah, sorry, I'm not entirely ascertaining what you're trying to ask. Like the letters and numbers. Oh, it's one of the first PCs. I don't think I've ever owned one of those. Maybe my parents did. I don't know. Oh my gosh, the questions are piling in here. I don't know if you mentioned it, but do you know what sort of cables I could use for a PS2 to connect it to a modern TV? Good question, Ariel. And if you're referring to, like, if you're connecting it via HDMI, the best one is component cables, the red, blue, green, and white cables, the 5 ports, as I mentioned. Let me set the camera down for a second. You're gonna want, but don't get those cheapo component to HDMI converters. I've used those cheapo converters for a lot of game systems, and let me tell you, they make the graphics look very ugly, to put it mildly. Just make sure you get a RetroTink 2X Pro. RetroTink 2X Pro. I'm sorry, that is such a mouthful. Open source scan converter, either one of those things. And then just make sure you set I can't really demonstrate in the OSSC, unfortunately, because mine's broken. Just make sure you set up the resolution accordingly, and it will play on your modern TV without looking ugly and without any lag. Answers your question. The reason I don't have a PS2 and I don't use like any of those cables for that is because I have the PS3 original model, the one that plays PS1, 2, and 3 games. So I don't really see the need for a PS2 in my collection. And as Crystal said in the Discord chat, we're starting another panel in about 8 minutes. But until then, we got time for more questions, more comments. Let me just double check the chat, see if there's anything I missed. Hunt the Wumpus. Huh, I can't say I really heard of that. Radiant Silvergun. I never owned a Sega Saturn until like last year. So, and when I was born in 96, so the Saturn was kind of dying out. So, which console do I have the largest collection of games for? In terms of, I can count digital games, right? Okay. I would say the largest in terms of what I have, either on disk or on my console's hard drives. I would say the largest collection, either the original Xbox, my PS4, or my Xbox One. An asterisk with my Xbox One is that the majority of games downloaded on there are from Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, but I digress. I'm just saying. Can you plug a Game Boy Advance to a TV? Is that possible? Well, not directly to a TV, but if you've got the GameCube, there is an accessory for it called the Game Boy Player, which I always wanted as a kid. Problem is, it goes for like, I don't know, like 80 to $100 on eBay. It's not exactly a cheap thing. Yes, the Game Boy Player, with how many O's? Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly, Crystal. But I have seen YouTubers like Classic Gamer and its defunct sister channel CGR Undertow use the Game Boy Player before, and I can see why kids, myself included, wanted that as a kid, because playing Game Boy Advance games on a TV, that was like the coolest thing ever. Do I watch Scott the Woz? I think I may have only watched him once. So sorry, yeah, I don't really watch him much. I mean, maybe I'll watch more of his videos later down the road. We'll see. But if you ask me if I watch like Dashie, Markiplier, like Lazy Game Reviews, yeah, like I watch those guys semi-regularly. And I'm still looking to get into some newer channels. Anyone remember Swoozy? How far back of a throwback is that? I don't entirely remember that name. Maybe a decade. Yeah, I mean, I'll look Swoozy up, but I don't. Name doesn't ring a bell. Oh, and before I forget, since we got 4 minutes, so the OSSC, in terms of operating it, you have to use, like I said, I can't physically demonstrate, but it does come with like a remote control, so you can select which input, you can choose the resolution, the screen aspect ratio, all that sort of stuff, and it shows you what it's doing on this screen, little digital screen right here. The RetroTinks, they don't have any screens like that, but in order to select an input, you just push, let me see, the input button is right here, and next to it there's a filter button. Just like OSSC, you can use you can put on little different screen filters, especially that includes especially the what's it called, the CRT filter, where it actually looks like a CRT TV from like the late 90s and whatnot. And with these devices, you also have line doublers, which if you're able to, like, doubles or even triples the resolution of the source that you're feeding into the devices. So if you've got a 240p signal in your RetroTink 2X Pro, for example, you can switch on the line doubling mode, and it will turn it into 480p. The max it can do is 480p, unlike the OSSC, which does 1080p. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't actually demonstrate for you, especially with the OSSC, because this one's broken. But we got 3 minutes left. Sadly, I don't have time to actually show me like connecting the consoles to these devices, but I hope that I've given you a good enough description on how to use these, what AV formats to use for which consoles, all that sort of stuff. Let me see if I got another question in the chat. No, I don't see any more questions or comments in the chat. But if you've got one, now's the time to do it. We only got like 2 minutes left. Maybe like 1.5. E3 is epic. Well, hopefully there'll be an E3 this year, considering what's going on in the world that we will not talk about, because this is supposed to not be a depressing place. So we've only got like 1:15, I would say, left on the clock. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put this baby to bed right here. But thank you very much for watching. I really enjoyed this as per usual. If you want to check out more of my stuff, check out my Instagram, my Twitter, all of which can be found in my Linktree. Go to Google Linktree at @SSG_Preston, and you'll find all the stuff that I do, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. I got to put on my Linktree that I've launched a project of mine called the Pop Punk Game Room, which is basically a gaming and cosplay group with a whole bunch of friends. I could go on and on about this, but I guess that's going to have to be for another time because we've only got a minute until the next panel. But yeah, stay tuned for more stuff that I do. And thank you very much for watching this panel, and have a great rest of your WebCon.
Thank you, Preston, so much for your panel today.
Thank you.
So for everyone joining, we're going to have more panels, and they're going to be on our Discord server in Discord Panel Room 1, including a 4Kids Jeopardy game and Guess That Anime Song. So thank you so much, Preston, and make sure everyone follows his Linktree and follow his social media. And it was a pleasure to have you again. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. I really enjoy having these things with you guys. And hopefully we'll have one, like another set of webcom panels like later in the spring, because these definitely take our minds off what's going on in the world right now, and we don't know when actual cons will be back. But just because we're hoping for physical cons to be back doesn't mean we want online cons to stop. I mean, why not have both, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's just great to meet all these like panelists and cosplayers and just great people overall.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I really appreciate like the community that we were able to build at WebCon.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
For sure.
All right. I'll leave you guys to. Yeah, let's wrap up because we got another panel set up. I gotta do some things around do some chores and all that.